Oh hey, didn't see you there. Let's talk about communication. In this world of constant information flow, the way we communicate depends on a variety of things, including tone, meaning, cadence, and manner of speech. Of course, one of those things also includes language. And so, in my journey to learn Japanese like the weeb I am, I think I'll have to skirt on by with my conversational speech by looking down a few times. Hey, with social anxiety like mine, looking down is like a Sunday drive for me.
Subtitles. The little words at the bottom of the screen that we have to read in order to know what's going on. And we can't leave context out of anime now, can we?
って逃げとる止まらないと撃つぞクソガキどもこの町のミジンコになれダメだどけ
For as long as anime has been around, there have been weeps who will do anything to break the language barrier in order to know what's going on in that context. Yes, even what you're seeing right now is a technological and linguistical innovation brought to you by the dedicated hearts of shut-in basement-dwelling early animation-obsessed weeaboos.
We prefer the term film historian.
The language of Japan is a nice one, but not everyone's gonna know how nice it truly is without those special letters at the bottom of the video. As long as there are people who don't know Japanese, then there'll always be a need for subtitles. So, yeah, lesson 1 for everyone in the world. Learn Japanese so we don't have any more use for subtitles.
Once again, Nathan overlooks deaf people. It's like what happened last weekend all over again.
When it comes to anime subtitles, there are always the classics like people die if they are killed, and I will now proceed to pleasure myself with this fish. But beyond the memes of the context lacking screenshots, the purpose of subtitles well beyond extends past the Rick and Morty ramblings. Though it initially seems that subtitles themselves are more or less simple tools for the anime watching experience, they function more on the side of being essential ties to the world building and characterization of the writing overall in enriching the style of speech and delivery of the dialogue.
The translation between the Japanese script to English or whatever language won't always be one for one. There is going to be some bending of textual defining and usage to make full use of the story and character's meaning, and it won't always be translated perfectly. And with subtitles, it's like putting words to individual paintings that are constantly changing all simultaneously. And I know that sounds strange, but bear with me.
The translation and writing style of subtitles isn't art in and of itself. It's one thing to translate the words and connotations of a person's meaning into legible words. It's another to do so faithfully in the aspect of regarding both the character's personality and the intent in the story and context.
Let's take this sentence for example. If you were to roughly translate it into something like, I love apples, or doctors hate me because of my appreciation of apples, then which did you use as a subtitle? Now, your first instinct might be this one, right? But it actually does depend on which character is saying it, to really flesh out the interpretive meaning behind the sentence.
Just like how the critical interpretation of writing is a crucial skill for media literacy, the interpreting through writing is just as valuable when it comes to conveying meaningful substance through various points of view in the tale. Whenever subtitles and text show up in anime, the potency of being accurate versus being faithful can either be a balancing act or a walk in the park. It all depends on how well the translator or team can and are able to sacrifice for the sake of narrative flow.
And you may be thinking, hey, it's just a few sentences that show up around 3 to 5 seconds. Isn't talking about sacrifice a bit extreme? Well, that sounds like an average downtown outing to me.
The importance of getting a point across, especially in the words of the characters in the story, rely on clear, concise communication with the audience. Imagine if there was a 1,000-year-old or so book that was constantly translated to a point where some of the primary points and meanings became misconstrued by most people.
Well, good thing we're only working in hypotheticals. Okay, to be fair, I don't think most anime will be translated to a point of rewriting the original that will start wars between nations. Mainly because you don't have to rewrite them. Or wait that long.
There's no doubt that writing for subtitles is an important job, mainly because of that groundwork of finagling within the confines of the source material's overt meanings. It can be hard, from complex emotions that have to give a strong poignancy just right, to comedic wordplay that could probably only work in the native language. Is making a compromise with the words and emotive senses and the audience reception to the characters themselves, and sometimes it doesn't always work out to the way it needs to. But even if subtitles themselves can be hit and miss writing wise, is there a possible saving grace to them? Perhaps in the form of self-aware memery?
I think writing that just took 5 months of my life.
Fansubs. They're exactly what they sound like. Subtitles by fans, for fans. Uncommon nowadays, at least in places like the US. Fansubs used to dominate early 2000s internet anime, whenever people just couldn't wait to find out what happened next on Digidragon Peace Shippuden. While we may take modern day subtitling for granted sometimes, fansubs were a culture all on their own. I remember scouring sites for the latest Pokemon episodes even if done by not so professional subtitlers, and I'm sure there are plenty of others out there who share a similar memory. When anime wasn't as instantaneous as today, especially for a poor kid like me, resorting to the global garbage heap known as the World Wide Web was just as viable for your weed fix. When your dialogue felt like it anyway. Due to the amateur nature of the subtitles then, you could find more instances of the subtitles grammatically incorrect, or translators notes they felt like they just had to explain, to even showing what's really important.
There were even times when fansubs would color or typeface coordinate between who's talking, or do fun animations for emphasis or comedic effect. Honestly, while I do see why modern subtitles would detract from these theatrics, I don't think I would mind seeing them come back in some way, shape, or form, like maybe in low-stakes shows or something to that effect.
Fansubs still exist, like in groups like Kami-subs, but they aren't as prominent as they once were. Namely because more people tend to flock to official translations rather than those that are technically bootlegs. Speaking of, they may or may not be exactly legal either.
Oh shit.
You can certainly still find them, like I have, but you're probably better off watching official stuff unless you can't for some reason. And that's a shame, because fansubs are an art just as much as normal subtitles are. Subtitles are just one of the great communicators for the cultural integration between Japan and the rest of the world. As anime as a visual medium takes the world by storm, the writing and promise verbal and textual speak share an equal engagement in storytelling. From the history of the first imports to fansubs flocking the web space to the modern subs that seem to have caught up, anime and the characters that make them convey the passions, themes, and jokes of writers of numerous nations coming together to piece worthy tales to be said and told for the sake of, well, telling a story worth 1,000 or so words.
I don't see subs as an art get discussed a lot, or at least not that I've seen on the internet, but it is important. After all, there's nothing more crucial than knowing what people are saying in a world of odd context. Or maybe that's just me. But now, if you'll excuse me, I need to... Oh crud, it's the Popo. I think they found out I was watching fansubs just a moment ago. I need to...
Freeze! Don't move, dirtbag!
I swear, officer, I didn't know it was Kami subs.
You're under arrest for the hit and runs downtown last Sunday.
Oh yeah, I did do that last week.